Howdy! So, I'm going to do a video comparing Superdrol to Anadrol because I have a very clear mental concept of the difference, and it seems other people look at things more complicated. That they look at the details, like what's the molecular weight of one compared to the molecular weight of the other. That's not how I compare things. I compare things based on what's different about them, not what are their raw characteristics. Because once I eliminate 89% or something of the things because there's one clear best, then I can memorize the details of that best. So I want to point out, you should like this video if you like it, you should subscribe if you like it, and you should share it to someone who thinks that the loser should be the winner. Because they'll be like, fuck Todd Lee, and I love it when people hate me. It's my favorite. Alright, now this is not a comprehensive video. I'm just comparing the differences. I'm not going to give you, like I said, the molecular weight of these drugs. If you want the comprehensive breakdown, check out Vigorous Steve's video, because his video is very elaborate and detailed. And he knows how to edit and shit, so he can make magical words appear. Also, this is for entertainment purposes only. Although I'm a doctor, I'm not your doctor. This is not medical advice. This is for fun. So if you don't enjoy this, go fuck yourself. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to cut to the chase because unlike everyone else, I'm a top-down guy, at least for how I educate people. Superdrol wins, and this is why. It's called Super. It's Superdrol because it's the improvement on Anadrol. It's the superlative drawl. So water retention is the big difference between the two. That there's a 11 beta hydroxylase enzyme deficiency caused by Anadrol that causes you to bloat like a motherfucker. Now this bloat is extracellular, that's under the skin, and intracellular inside the muscle. I probably should have put up a big muscle, not a tiny muscle. But you get the point. I'm not on Anadrol. So, whoa, phone's blowing up. Someone doesn't like this video already. So the point being that, shut the fuck up, phone. See, this is why I don't like having notes. It's because then my phone is blowing up. Let me mute these motherfuckers. I love them, actually. They're not motherfuckers. It's just I'm a little bit busy doing a video for you. So, the bloat. So there's 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency causes water retention, extracellular and intracellular. I cannot find the reference. I know I read this. I know this, but I try to look it up so I could give you the exact enzyme. But there is an enzyme that's different in the Superdrol that causes you to retain water inside the muscle, but not outside the muscle. So you get the advantages of the bigger pump, the perma pump, the bigger muscles, and the increased strength from extra cross-sectional diameter of the muscle cell, if you know how hydraulics work, but you don't get the bloat that causes moon face and makes you look like you have excess body fat. That's the biggest difference between the two, in my opinion, is that you get all the strength and size benefits without any of the cosmetic flaws. That's what makes Superdrol super. Now, there are some slight differences to the side effect profile. Both of them crush your appetite because both of them fuck your liver up. Superdrol will do it probably at a lower concentration faster. That Superdrol's supposedly, based on the Hirschberger assays, a little bit more potent, but also Anadrol's a lot cheaper. So Anadrols are sold by the 50, Superdrols are sold by the 10. 10 Superdrol is not as strong as 50 Anadrol. It's basically more like 40 Superdrol is about as strong as 50 Anadrol. And this is, the one has an anabolic rating of 400, Superdrol, one has an anabolic rating of 320. But again, that's based off of rats' ass muscles compared to their prostates. It's not, no one lifts weights with their ass muscle. I mean, not that I can think of. I don't live, well, I can't say that joke on YouTube, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That think you're censorful leftists for me having to censor my jokes because they are zingers. Anyway, Anadrol causes more acne, more gyno, and more erythrocytosis. So it drives up red blood cells, which is more likely to give you a stroke or a heart attack. I don't know what the mechanism is for the acne, but I've heard about this a million times. Anadrol usually causes purple pimples on the back that look gross as fuck. Believe me, if you think you're going to get girls with big muscles, nothing's going to make them wetter than having a bunch of purple pimples popping while they're scratching your back while you're fucking them. And then as far as the gyno goes, what's the mechanism? This is a supposed mechanism that a metabolite of Anadrol is a high binding affinity for SHBG, bumps the estrogen that's present off the SHBG, and that estrogen hits the receptors on the breast tissue, causing it to grow. Furthermore, Anadrol works as a progesterone receptor antagonist, which basically causes estrogen receptors to get more sensitive. So that it basically means the little bit of estrogen that is in your body causes more of a response, and then because it bumps the estrogen off the SHBG, even if you had a very low free form estrogen before, you'll have a magnified symptoms of estrogen, which is generally going to be gyno and water retention. Superdrol doesn't do this shit. Superdrol works more like a more traditional DHT and already is SHBG sensitive. I mean, this is all working under the assumption that you have a high estrogen to begin with, so that's kind of confusing. I'm just going to move on from that shit. Both crush your liver. My personal experience is that with 150 Anadrol, I started having really bad prostate pain. What this means is when I would go pee, that it would feel like pain in deep at the base of the penis. Kind of like if you ejaculated and then peed right after, that burning you get. I feel like that's what prostate pain. This is bro science. There's no evidence. There's no studies to say that the pain, like there's no quantification of the measurement of dick pain you get from coming and then peeing relative to Anadrol rating. There's no dick pain rating associated with Anadrol, so there's a certain person who's going to be mad that this is bro science, but this is my personal experience. In my experience, anecdotal evidence and case studies of actual pro bodybuilders trumps any studies done on soccer moms and rats and aardvarks. All right, now, this 20 milligrams of Superdrol hurt my appetite really bad. I was using injectable Superdrol at the time, by the way. So I found that I had to back it down to 10 milligrams of Superdrol. A lot of you will say that that's completely useless. It's like, well, I wasn't running just 10 milligrams of Superdrol either. It was just like a little bit. It was like the cherry on top of the whipped cream, of the frosting, of the cake. Now, Anavar is the winner. So between the war between Superdrol and Anadrol, which is the best, which is the one you should take Anavar, because Anavar is infinitely better than either of these. It gives you the strength boost. It's in and out of your system in an hour if you take it sublingually pre-training. There's really no reason to take either of these ever. People say, oh, you get a bigger strength boost. Okay, when do you want to be a bloated pig? When you're using a bench shirt for a powerlifting competition. Then the blubber will work as an extra layer of hydraulic force inside the Kevlar shirt. When would you want to use Superdrol over Anavar or Anadrol? Pretty much for the week before the show, when you want to have the fullest look possible but not hold water. In theory, on paper, Superdrol would do that. John Jewett tested this method and he found that there was no difference between Anavar, Halo, or Superdrol that was noticeable. And you got to remember, if you can't see it in the mirror and in check-in pictures, the judges are not going to see it from the judging table. It's the variable of it fucking with your liver and hurting your digestion and causing possible gut distension or not filling because your GI system isn't working 100% is way bigger than the tiny benefit it would give you over Anavar for causing water retention in the muscle. So a lot of people don't understand how I think. So I'm going to do this in what I call the hot girl comparison. So Superdrol is like a 10 body and a 3 face. Body is kind of like what you want, and then face is like the consequences. Like the body is what you have sex with, the face is what you're seen in public with. So I look at the strength of a steroid based on the body, and then the side effect is the face. So Anadrol is an 8 body 2 face. So Superdrol is a 10 body 3 face, Anadrol is an 8 body 2 face. So Superdrol wins by 2 points. And then Anavar is a 7 body 7 face. So it wins by 4 points. That there's still a little bit of side effects with Anavar because it still does decrease your HDL. And then Masteron is a 7-body 9-phase. Masteron's a pretty close to perfect drug. There's almost no side effects. Some people will say that it causes hair loss. There's not really any science that would support that, aside from the fact that any androgen will bind to the androgen receptors in the hair follicles. And then I've got a whole video about DHT management and hair management on this channel. So for summation, Anadrol, 8-body 2-phase, Superdrol, 10-body 3-phase, it wins. Anavar is still an oral, it's better with the 7-body 7-phase, because you can then get away with taking more, right? Yeah. And then Masteron is 7-body 9-phase. Because like you could take 200 milligrams of Masteron, you're fine. So 200 milligrams of Masteron is going to be way better than 10 or 20 milligrams of Superdrol, 50 milligrams of Anadrol, or 50 milligrams of Anavar. I start becoming a dick if I take more than 50 milligrams of Anavar. I start having dick pain at 150 Anadrol. I start having basically liver death at 20 milligrams Superdrol. But I've ran as much as 200 Masteron a day for an extended period of time, no problem. So why did I include Masteron? Because it's injectable? Because it's a DHT. Like, why are you having to take an oral? Why aren't you just injecting the shit? It's because the show's in 3 days and you don't want to not. So it makes sense that 3 days out from the show, you go off the Masteron. And if it's not an athlete, which it should be, but if it isn't, then you have to be on something. Anavar is the safest bet. Superdrol might give you some cosmetic benefit. If you're not stepping on stage, there's pretty much no reason to ever use an oral, except for Anavar pre-lift. So I know that this was all over the place and this didn't attend to task, but I have to give you the comparison in the context of the whole situation. Otherwise, people are going to be going out and using Superdrol, which is not the point of this video. It's just to prove the point that Anadrol is garbage. If you were going to use Anadrol, you're probably better off using Superdrol if you're a bodybuilder. And even if you were a bodybuilder, don't use it. Use something safer like Anavar. And then even if you were going to use Anavar, have you really mastered Masteron? Because Masteron seems to be pretty perfect. All right. Thank you. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Share it with people who love Anadrol. So it'd be like, I know you're emotionally attached to your pimples and bloated tick face, but there is an alternative. And it is about being less ugly. And I guess with that, I will just bid you adieu. Enjoy.